Morning's live. I would like to go over a quick overview of what is transpiring so far in the crypto market. I do see a couple of red flags here, as we still need to monitor. We have to be cautious and we have to be honest with ourselves on what this next little part of this cycle is going to be. We know MicroStrategies has continued to buy more Bitcoin, but they're leveraging their company. And now that it got moved into the Dow 100, this could be a pretty interesting parallel we have here with a lot of the holdings right now being propped up with MicroStrategies. And now we can see that we're hitting a point here where some people, I think, we're going to have to look at this. And the one thing I'll tell you is have capital on the side. Have capital on the side in case these negative or bearish divergences across the market do in fact play out. We know we have a rising, broadening wedge in Bitcoin, so it's going to take some kind of volume to push us through. I don't know what this morning was about, having that little fake out, but that makes me feel even worse now this morning with how we had a fake out in the market. And man, is TradingView going so slow this morning. I don't know if anybody else has been having an issue. At times, it's been going so stinking. Look at this. Look how it's loading. It's just been going so slow. So I may have to close this out entirely, but it's been going very, very slow this morning. But 94,325 on Bitcoin. That little push up, all we did was come up in the 4-hourly as if it wasn't bad enough. We came up and we could even push past the 20-day. Now, unless this is like a hammer or an inverted hammer, which I'm not so sure it is, we have this reaffirming of the death cross here. It looks like a massive bear flag in here, like I talked about yesterday. For anybody who wasn't here, just looks like we're forming like a bear flag. And if we lose this rising, broadening wedge that we've talked about for several, well, it feels like a long time now, we're looking at like that 75K area. And unless this becomes invalidated, it's definitely something we're going to have to watch this morning. And the last few days, as we've been talking about. Juan, welcome in along with Mark and Wales. Josie Wales, thank you, all three of you, for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Really appreciate that. Mandy, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Hamza, welcome in. Nuno, welcome in. Good morning to you, friend. Mo, welcome, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Says, good afternoon. Will be interesting to see Tether being removed from Euro exchanges as of the 31st of December from ICA compliance, and what, if any, impact this has on USDC or even RLUSD. Interesting times ahead. We're going to have some volatility in the market. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. You're going to have some instability in the Eurozone, and it's going to push over into crypto. Between that, morning, Tom, FYI, my grandma. Oh, I want to read the rest of that. I'll read that once another comment comes in. But remember, we have that looming with the USDT debacle that could possibly be happening. But we also have in the charts that are speaking to a breakdown. They are speaking to a potential breakdown here that I'm not going to overlook. And if it holds on, good for us. But right now, we're in these rising, broadening wedges with Bitcoin. Robert, thank you for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Says, morning, Tom, FYI, my grandma is doing better. I believe that says made it out of surgery, the heart surgery, I believe. That is excellent. I remember we said a prayer in here a few days ago during the live. I want to say it was at the end of last week. I feel so blessed that your grandma is doing well and at least pulled through the surgery. Don't forgive, if you believe in the Holy Spirit, say a prayer for Robert's grandma. Robert, I'm so happy to hear that. So happy to hear that. That is such a blessing here in this morning. Such a blessing. USDT isn't printing Tether 2 weeks so far. If you are spiritual, say a prayer for Robert's grandma for her continued safe recovery and just making this the easiest possible route to better health, which it sounds like already doing very well. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So USDT hasn't been printing as we've been used to in the last couple of weeks. We certainly haven't got any of those several $billion packages that are going on the Ethereum or Tron or some other networks. And look, this is a beautiful thing in the comments. When more than one person is preaching the name of our Lord and Savior, God becomes present amongst all of us. And I firmly and truly believe that because I can feel it in my heart. Anti-communist welcoming, and I appreciate all the kind words. Always appreciate all the kind words. But let me timestamp this. We'll go through not just the technicals, but I want to go over a couple different things. As this morning, the way that they pushed it up this morning over almost to 96,000 for Bitcoin, it was just something that we didn't want to see. We've got the Biden's new tax rule that can fuel crypto volatility and the impact on XRP and Bitcoin. We will talk about that. We'll talk about MicroStrategy and how they drove a 3x surge in private Bitcoin transactions. But it's not exactly, I'm telling you right now, when you get one entity doing this, and then on top of it, you got the US government, this is not what you want to see. Like, we can read that, but I'd much rather share with the fact that MicroStrategy's Bitcoin purchase, they're basically leveraging MicroStrategy, and they're issuing common shares, which, if anybody knows about the stock market, when they issue common shares, what ends up happening is that it's going to end up diluting the stock. And it's in the NASDAQ 100 right now, but you have to have a certain threshold to maintain. So there's just all this Bitcoin being bought by MicroStrategies. And it's getting a little out of hand here. If you want to look at a solo entity probably being paid by the government to prop up Bitcoin, it's not a good thing. You don't want to see the same entity, the sole reason why. So I firmly believe, though, before this next chapter, we've got to have some kind of pullback. It feels like we have to have some kind of pullback. And I haven't just started talking about this today. I've been talking about it since the rejection at 272. You know, is it just going to be a come down to 198? Or is it going to be a falling channel that starts forming? Or are we just going to fall out of what we have right now, which is a pennant flag, just so everybody can see? We've got what looks like a pennant flag, and do we just fall out of this and then it's over? You know, that's the question, because right now everything I'm seeing makes it look like a fake out. And trust me, I get it. We're going to have less people looking at the lives. We're going to have less people looking at the updates as XRP continues to struggle. I say it every time. I'd rather you be here now in the time of volatility and uncertainty than come back when we're on a vicious pump, because you're going to miss the whole deal. You got to be in this, and you got to pay attention to it when the breakdowns are happening. A lot of people are losing interest right now in crypto, but it's the time you should be having the most interest. What if this reverses? What if this doesn't play down? Or what if it does play down? What are the options? What are the optics? So these are my favorite times. Yeah, it doesn't look good right now. Certainly doesn't look good with these death crosses. Some call it a negative divergence going across the market. I always say death cross, but negative divergences for my European friends and my mates across the seas who will say negative divergence more often in my comments. So I'm trying to adapt to your lingo as well. So the death cross, a negative divergence is not, I consider that more of a bearish divergence. And then when you get into the death cross, it just cements what you would consider a negative or bearish divergence. As we can see in the 3 hourly, we've got a death cross here now confirmed. We not only came down, created the death cross, and now we came up and got rejected. If XRP gets rejected here in the 3 hourly, this would be your first signal that this is not good. We're below the 200-day for the first time, actually hitting it and staying as of right now. So we really need to get above $2 and let's just call it 19 cents to start to feel a little bit of security in the short term. But if we get rejected at the 20-day, which is looking like it's possible here, then we're going to have to come down in the very near term to $2.08. And then whether or not you think that's going to hold would be the next tail. Now, I could certainly see this coming back up as well, even if it's bearish, to come up and hit a third resistance here at 256. So that is also a possibility. So I've seen some people saying, hey, I sold based on your technicals. In the same way you shouldn't buy based on my technicals, you also shouldn't be selling. You should be doing it on your own homework. See, when I say that it could break down, it's about a 66% chance, in my opinion, because it's in a pennant flag, we still have to call it bullish. Even though in this same setup, traditionally, I would say it's a 78% chance to break out. So in my own estimation, I've taken off a 12% certainty of this breaking bullish only because of factors that are looming right now. Factors that are looming. The ETF outflows from BlackRock is tremendously going in the wrong direction right now. The Bitcoin ETFs are tremendously going in the wrong direction. BlackRock is unloading not just the ETF, but also Bitcoin. So I've talked about this in the last week. So these are things that make me feel like Casper compliance with Mika was turned in on December 20th. That's big. That's big. I think Casper's one that I'll put back on here just for, because it should be, but I've taken off some of the noise, which means I can take more of a focus on some of the oldies that I used to pay attention to. It's part of getting rid of some of the noise. 1.5 cents, still holding okay, but you can see this is about to come rocketing down as well. Dot cross confirmed, rejected at the dot cross, even to try to break. These all look like conditions for a continued breakdown. It's just so weird because you can see the ambiance of possible inverse head and shoulders setting up. And if these were to actually play out in the proper fashion, if we could get a 15 to 20, I know it sounds bad, but if the market could get a 15 to 20% correction here, we would springboard probably with a big V shape. It's just, you don't want to, I've just seen this too much. I know a couple weeks ago, some people started calling me the bearish bitch or the bearish bull, whatever. I don't care. It's just my proclamation changed when that rejection happened, because that is not technically what you want to see happen. Now, sure, it came down to support, so it's still building the pennant flag. So it was early for a breakout there, as we know. So maybe we get the breakout around 258, 256. But there are looming things here that don't look great to me. The volume is what really gets me. But I still, until the pennant flag breaks down, I'm not going bearish. It's just, you got to have that ambiance here, but everything is starting to turn in the wrong direction somewhat. Now, if the volume picks up, it'd be huge. But remember how we always say, take the elevator up, take the stairs down until you get to your proper support. And we don't know where that's going to be, but you always take the stairs down. So boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And it ends up being until you get down to your consolidatory phase, and I say this all the time, and it's something that's overlooked. If you take the elevator up, which is simply a quick rise up on a bull pump, you take the stairs down, because now it becomes bumpy ride on the way down. Because now the trading bots that went straight up, now they've got to have some. It's the way to sucker in everybody on the way back down. I absolutely care about the monthly closing, and in my opinion, it's not so hot. I mean, it's not awful. But if we close here, I mean, it's not, like, that's the thing. It's not terrible, the monthly close. It's just, in the next, I mean, we got 3 days. I could certainly see us coming below this wick here. That's where my biggest problem is here. My problem is I can see this by the time this monthly candle closes, and the yearly candle for that matter. I could see us sinking back down below this. Now, would this just be year-end sales for anybody who is trying to weight their portfolios? Like, hey, maybe somebody's got losses here at the end of the year in crypto and they sell, or maybe somebody's got gains that they want to wash out at the end of the year. It goes both ways. If you're down on your portfolio and you've got room to sell out so that you can kind of even the balance, this would be a good, this could be a good way for some speculators to sell out maybe some profits or losses to, wash their gains or losses, honestly. XCN was funded $40 million from Citigroup, Visa, Capital One, and NASDAQ. Ooh, we've talked about XCN in the past. That's interesting. It's good information. Weekly looks like a reversal candle. Like, I'm not saying anything that I'm not seeing. It becomes a little harder for me to do updates when I have to talk about the bearish side, because then people, they unsubscribe. They unjoin Tom's Army because they want me to just tell them the good news instead of the bad news. I've had like 16 people unsubscribe from Tom's Army in the last 2 days because of having to speak of the bearish side. Even though I've said we're still in a pennant flag, so it is what it is. I'm not going to lie to my audience just so I can keep you to give me money. What's the point? What's the point of blood money? So I'm going to do the intro, and then we're going to continue moving on here. So, what is that? Who is? Oh. There you go. Good morning. 11:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, December 28th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Thank you for your honesty and keeping it real with us. You are welcome, Fruity Booger. I appreciate that $5 donation. You did not have to do that. Really, really appreciate that. Casper has a direct on-ramp with Alchemy. Interesting. It's an interesting proposition we've got building with Casper. I'm not surprised. We think that Casper in our community is going to do big things. It's just, they had a little bump in the road. But, like, unless XRP breaks down the pennant flag, you have to remember it's still bullish. So, all the people saying they're selling based on what I'm saying, I wouldn't sell it or buy it in this range. Because it's not proper fundamentals right now. Like, you have to find your area. So, if you're going to buy XRP, I understand you can jump on the horsey and get ahead of 250. But you could also be front running it to where you might come down to $2, $1.98. Even if it's bullish or bearish, it can go up to the top still. So when you get things like this, there's no right or wrong answer. Like, you are technically trying to figure out a pattern that makes sense here. We're trying to take the universal, I would say the universal laws of economics with what we're seeing with not only the inauguration, but with the US dollar running out of itself. It's running outside itself right now. But watching these artificial pump-ups with MicroStrategies, watching the big business or the big player like BlackRock exiting Bitcoin, now that could be a lateral play now. If they are exiting, now maybe some of the money, but we needed to find Ethereum to start to prove these points. Yesterday I talked about DGB. We've been watching it since the rejection at 1.4. Yesterday it was at 1.25. Now even today with its little bit of move, it's at 1.17. So it's like, are these just universally day by day chopping us and then showing a 2 to 4% movement just because it had a 10% drop the day before and then it just overall ends up down anyhow? That's what chopping means. If we start chopping like that, it's always going to do that. You're always going to see green when the flip happens, but by the end of every day, it always ends up bearish. Devin says, have a wonderful day, everybody. Devin, I appreciate that. And thank you for all the insight you've shared in the time you've been in here today. That's unbelievable. Like, literally, Devin, I don't know if you're leaving or staying, but all that information you shared on Casper is invaluable to me because I'm going to be doing a lot of research when I stop this live now on Casper to see these connections you've talked about. If they're the on-ramp for Alchemy, everybody should be paying attention to Casper on any kind of pullback. Anything. That's huge. And if we could somehow get some volume on this weekend, it's not over yet. We're not done yet. Yes, we're having these negative or bearish divergences and now these death crosses across universally in the 3 hour. It's not over yet. I thought we were going to dump to 195, but not happening. Oh, Codizer, you thought like your own personal estimations where we were going to jump? Or we were going to dive? Because I could certainly see that down to this uptrending support. But don't overlook what you're saying just yet, my friend, because we haven't invalidated anything. Yes, I can see what could be a possible bull flag if it wants to push out and come back up here and get another resistance before even coming through. And I could see that happening as well. But right now, I wouldn't so much go against what you're saying just yet. Remember, this morning Bitcoin did have a move. It did have a move up here to right around 95,200 to get rejected on the 20-day. That's actually a signal that you might not be wrong. That rejection right there is a big key right now. That death cross reaffirming is a big key right now. OXT. I don't know what OXT is. People are starting to talk about XCN now for sure. For sure. Remember, it wasn't so far in the distant past when you might have been the one who brought it up to me, Balzac, when we talked about it. I'm not sure, though. I want to say it might have been you. I don't remember which chart it was, though. Oh, someone else? Because it was being talked about, but when we talked about it in the chat, it was up a little bit, much higher. Because it got taught. I remember it was on a cup. I wish I had the other chart. But if this is starting to swing back around, it came down to 0018. I mean, be nice to see it. Like what I want in the crypto market are two different things. One, I would love to see it just rocket out of here because let's face it, our XRP and our ISO and utility token holdings would explode. I'm trying to find the biggest route to the top. So everyone wanting a dump is either... greedy or didn't listen to Tom for the past 4 years. Time has come for XP to start going up. Sorry if you missed out. Yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're begging for a drop to happen, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just looking at the technicals because some people are out of line a little bit thinking that I'm saying something I'm not. I'm not saying that this is going to drop back down to the levels of yesteryear. What I am saying is I'm paying attention to the fair value gap at 92 cents. I'm paying attention to the fair value gap at like $1.52. Oh, if you guys want to go deeper, there's a fair value gap, and I know somebody in the audience right now knows this. There's a fair value gap. I didn't say this, but it's under 50 cents still. So are those all going to fill out on XRP? I mean, it would be pretty crazy to think we could drop that far. But in every great cycle, Bitcoin's dropped between 60 to 80% from the top. We're nowhere near a 60 to 80% drop right now. Interesting. I'm going to have to look deeper into that as well. So we know that we have the 1 billion being released from escrow on the 1st. And yes, in my comments, some people, oh, Tom, it happens every month for the last 4 years. You're the XRP future millionaire and you don't know this? Oh, yes, because I said it's going to dump on the 1st. I have no clue that it's done it for the last 4 years. I mean, come on now. I've been doing this every single day for 4 years. You don't think maybe one time it's popped up that it's... So, I'm just saying, we have a set routine that seems to happen here every single month. And right now on a thinly traded weekend, I want to see a bigger push. I want to see a big... I'm taking a picture of this anti-communist of the... I need that comment again, but I'm going to take a picture with my phone so I can see anti-communist so I don't forget that, what he shared. There we go. Took a picture on my phone. Thank you. Tom is brutally truthful and honest. He deserves his paycheck. Hey, I appreciate that. Fair value gap can take years to fill. They sure can. And at a 97% success rate, you know, it's something to consider. They're always something to consider. Tom, you have an email for I can share to you my chart. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Here. Let me go on my phone, pick up my I'll open my live, and then I'll put my email so that you can see it, so I don't have to say it. And then I'll put my you know, you're not hear it. So there, I put the email on the bottom if you want to send me an email. Anti-communist, when you grow up, you want to replicate Tom's work. How old are you, anti-communist, out of curiosity? Bozak, you've never missed a day, Tom. Your word is gold. No, I have not. I've been doing this, believe it or not, if you're new, since March 28, 2021. And I have not missed a day. I think it was March 28th, my first video. Anti-communist, you're 62. Excellent. Excellent. A couple years, my dad just turned 66, so about the same age as my dad. A little bit younger. You're about 4 or 5 years younger than my dad. But I mean, this is for you. And I even look at it this way for my son and my stepkids and my family, my nieces and nephews. I look at it as right now we have a golden opportunity, whether you understand precious metals, whether you understand utility. Obviously, right now, the utility route, it's not as easy, right? That's why for the last 4 weeks, when everybody's asked me, should I buy XRP? I said no. If you didn't buy it at 35 or 45 or 55, but you want to buy it now, you have to ask yourself and be honest, is this FOMO or is it because you really believe in this utility? Now, if you're just like somebody like anti-communist who buys every week until the end time, until he's ready to be done, that's different. If you're somebody who puts a certain part of your paycheck into cryptocurrency because you're trying to get out of the dollar and you have a plan digitally, that's one thing. But if you're somebody who's taking 100% of your portfolio and trying to buy in right now, and we've had a 4, 5, 6, 7, 10x across the market, I can tell you right now that's where your balls get smashed. No disrespect, but that's where you get bent over. And I used to say you get thrusted out of existence. That's what ends up happening to portfolios. So, that's why I tell the truth. That's why I come on here and I show every single person the possibility. Because if my brain's seeing an algorithm go the opposite way, I have to pay attention to it. I have to pay attention to it because I'm getting the warning signals right now that we could be going into a bearish section, which is actually very bullish. Like, I don't want anybody to confuse this. Even if we only come down to $1.98, it'd be great because then you get the third tap of this uptrending support. On a pennant flag, it's not complete yet. We've only got 2 hits of resistance, 2 hits of support, which is very important because you have to understand on a ascending broadening wedge or any kind of broadening wedge at all, you only need 2 hits of support, 2 hits of resistance to confirm a pattern. Don't ask me why that's the legend, but it is. However, we've got 3 hits of resistance, and you can see clearly 2 hits of support, probably 3, because let's call it for what it is. You could call that a hit on the broadening wedge if you want, but I would still argue that you probably got 2 hits on this, but it looks like a rising broadening wedge. That doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. 2 hits on each side, the legend for a broadening wedge. You only need 2 hits of resistance and support to confirm that pattern. Whereas the traditional pattern setups like a bull flag, pennant flag, falling channel, rising channel, inverse head, and a lot of these other things, you want to start getting different taps, like 3 to each side. Although the inverse head and shoulders is a bad play because you got 2 hits on a left perpendicular and then you got 1 a little bit farther down on a vertical sense. But horizontally, you'd have 2 direct hits, 1 farther down on vertical. So that's how you create the inverse head. So forget the inverse head and shoulders, but you guys get what I'm saying. Why would you talk so disgusting? I watched this with my parents. Why would I talk so disgusting? If that was disgusting to you, you are in the wrong place. I'm sorry, my friend. But if that's disgusting to you, you got to lighten yourself to the real world. No offense. Because that's not disgusting. That's being brutally honest with you. If you want me to say I'm going to hold your hand and it's going to be all fine and the fairy tales are going to come out and your portfolio is going to magically erupt to the top side, I could do that. But I think you want to know the lingo properly. But what would you call it if you get slaughtered? I've watched it for years. People just get slaughtered. I talk about testicular fortitude all the time. You know, there's certain things that I say so it resonates. If it's a little bit too deep, I apologize. But, you know, sometimes I think your parents will understand what I'm trying to say here. If they can't, if this is too much for them, it might be a little indictment on we've become too soft as a nation. That doesn't help anybody. Don't let words break you down. You're supposed to let them build you up. You're supposed to understand the intent behind what I say, not the grotesque. But anyhow, Michael Voltas, welcome, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge and sending a $10 donation. That's incredibly generous. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Seriously. And I hope you found your peace since the passing of your parents earlier in the year. It's been a joy getting to know you, my friend. And understanding that you actually knew my cousins, grandma and grandpa on that side of the family is crazy that you grew up next to my grandparents. So, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Hey, Tom, can you wish my girlfriend Janine a happy birthday? She enjoys watching you. Of course I can, Frankie. Happy birthday, Janine. I hope you're having a blessed day today. I'm sorry that the market's not quite cooperating on your birthday. But as you know, on my birthday, Janine, just so you don't feel so bad, it started to show us a fake out pump on December 17th just to drop about 15 to 18% as I was going to bed. So, you know, maybe you'll get a good deal on your birthday here, but Beautiful birthday, and D. I feel like you're going to suffer the same fate as I do. Having a birthday just before Christmas. Janine, a lot of people forget. And you having the birthday just after Christmas. I'm not sure what's worse, because now all the people spent all their money. So, but happy birthday from XRP Future Millionaire in this beautiful community. Because I really do believe we have something special here if we just pay attention. If we just pay attention, and there's no greater gift than getting a year older. I know a lot of people say otherwise, but I'm 41. I would not want to go backwards. I've said this every single year. Like when I was in my 30s, I didn't want to be 40. But now that I'm 40, I definitely don't want to be 30 again. Or 41. I definitely don't want to go backwards. I think every year and every decade's a gift. And you understand more and more. And yes, physically my body's able to do less. But I really don't even know anyhow because I broke my back when I was 23. So my body gave up on me long ago, but I still stayed fit. Well, I actually lost like 100 pounds since I broke my back. But I stayed in the gym the last 3 years. I've been, it's starting to come back now. Or you guys won't be able to see, but, it's physical fitness and your mental health is so very important. I firmly believe, I get a lot of criticism here, yes. But I firmly believe, I also get a lot of praise. But I believe by doing this and doing something you're passionate about, what's the one real way to keep away anxiety, depression, overactive mind? Do work. Do work that matters. Do something that actually helps people. So when I come here every single day, even if my mindset's bad, just talking to all of you, I talk myself through it. Oftentimes you see me come in here all out of whack because of one thing or another, and then I'll talk myself through it with the audience, and what ends up happening, I'll have the best live, best update. I'll have the best rest of the day I could possibly have. I could see this setting up too. Like Codizer's been talking about. If we can just rally out of this section. Hello, Julie. Okay. I could certainly see us coming up to this $2.50 mark. I'm beyond hopeful. Actually, I look at this both ways. I don't look at this as a bad thing if it goes down, but I'm beyond hopeful that we're going to, I wanted to be able to add more with the audience and show them the beauty that can happen in a bull market when everybody suspects it to do one thing and then it does the opposite. Just the unreal opportunity that presents itself. But if it doesn't present itself and we just go up from here, there's no reason to be mad. Like, I'd be actually still happy. It makes my show a lot easier if it just goes up. So you could see a resistance point over here. $2.24 on this weekend. Absolutely, B. Absolutely. Spiritual health is it's most important. I would love to see this just. I would. We've got to take care of these death crosses and bearish crosses. Death cross in the 3 hourly. That right now we're getting, for whatever reason, we're not able to pick up any real volume in this area. We had one candle here, which, like I said when I started, if that's an inverted hammer in the 3 hour, maybe we could start making some noise up on this thinly traded weekend. I would love to say that. Right now, again, we're at the 20-day where the rejection point would likely happen if it does happen. Don't be fooled, though. We could come up to 223 and then pull back. But we need to get out of the short-term consolidation to avoid the next drop. So, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can say what you want about Crypto Hawk, good or bad. But he gives you out information you're not likely going to be able to seek out yourself. So, maybe from a charting perspective, you wouldn't go to the Crypto Hawk, but from a news and let's just say a historical setup compared to maybe future focus would be the best way I could say to use his advice, because he gives you all of this info that it's going to be very hard for you to get on your own. But if you culminate it with somebody, like you take his info with the news and the notes and the world workings of what the actual blockchains and things deeper a little bit are, and then you take my stuff, not just the news, but the charts as well, and you put it together, you can't lose. There's a few people you can't lose if you pay attention to. California always wins it. Hey, last night I may not have won the Mega Millions. Well, I didn't play that. I don't play the lottery. Because I can't predict my own outcome. I play anything that I can predict my own outcome. I know it sounds stupid. Like, I'll do things that I can predict my own outcome. And yeah, you can't win every time from an analytical perspective, but I legitimately do everything that I believe where I can predict my own outcome. And I know it sounds stupid, but I'll show you an example of being able to think you can predict your own outcome. And mind you, I didn't spend any money on this. These are all past. These are all free bets that I had just sitting there that were going to expire. I don't even know if I shared the right ones, actually. But I like to do it from I like the analytical approach. I always have and I always will. Always have and I always will. And I was surprised, you know. I was surprised that I was on my game last night. Well, I'm not surprised. From an analytical approach, I can turn a little bit into something. Had a $25 free bet turned into 176. Had a $12.50 free bet turned into 203. Had a $25 free bet turned into 451. All the same time last night. And those were all from free bets from the past. And, you know, I turned that free $62 into 900 and something last night. So I like that. But yeah, buy now at $2.20 or buy later at $5. Or buy in the past at 34 cents and not have to worry about all this shellacking. How about that? The biggest lesson I could have ever taught was to buy properly. You need about 2 million XLM to be rich. No, I disagree with that. Wholeheartedly. Why would you need 2 million to be rich? That's on FanDuel. So past bets, sometimes you'll get like they'll give you a $25 risk-free bet. So I'll just put a $25 bet in and make a very, very long shot. And then you get sometimes you'll get a $25 free bet. That's all they'll do. Now they used to do 50. And then I just save them until expiration. So they had 6 hours until expiration. So I looked at the college football schedule. And there hasn't been nothing to bet on since the end of the college football season because I like to have at least 4 or 5 games in a day. I don't like to bet player parlays anymore. I like to do team parlays. And then if I see an anomaly. But like today I've got a set up for a 6-team parlay, but we'll see. We'll see. That was that $10 one. You see that would pay out like 180. I haven't put the bet in yet because I want to look at the over-under to see if it adjusts a little bit. But I always look for the nuance in the algorithm. I always say I'm a statistical anomaly because I can see things before they happen. The problem is sometimes I'm so far ahead I look like an idiot. Like the 2021 bear market. Because it had that bounce from $1.66 all the way down, or $1.70 all the way down to 52. And then it had that one shining moment where I think it came up to like 117. And then it came down sub 40. You know, that's where it was like, oh, it's up and down. You'll never get a chance under it. I've heard this whole route before. So now that I'm hearing the whole thing happen again, I am still very bullish on XRP, okay? I've said this a million times. But when my average, and the old day was when your average shoe shiner is starting to give you stock advice, you got to look the other way. In this case, when my average TikToker and social media influencer has now flipped the script on XRP being a pile of shit and crypto being trash to everybody needs to buy, that just means to me maybe we've so, you know, every single person I see now that is talking and telling us to buy are the same people that told us we were idiots for buying then. So, I mean, who do you believe? Do you believe the person who was giving you the info prior and trying to keep you informed during? Or some egotistical douchebag that is just trying to get views and is telling you something any idiot could tell you right now? XRP is going to go up. Why? That's everybody's decision to make. You know, me personally, I started this channel because too many idiots were telling me the wrong thing on YouTube. And no offense, no, they might not even know they're idiots. It's just the advice to me would make me an idiot. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, I don't hate on anybody for doing anything they do. Because I could tell everybody in the audience, go try to do what they're doing, and you probably can't. Maybe you have ethics, so you can't do it. That's why I can't do what they do. I have ethics. I have integrity. So I lost 14 paid members of Tom's Army because I won't tell you it's just going to go infinity up. Too bad. My soul grew with those 14 losses because I stayed true to myself. So right now, I could see 224. I could see us coming up to 224. It's just, we got to get out of this section, folks. We've got to get out of here. Rise off of this, what looks like a little bit of a bull flag here. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. You know? And if you were going to sell XRP, please don't do anything until you at least see the pennant flag break. Imagine buying at 35 cents and then getting rid of it right here. So, and some people say I have clickbait headlines, but if you actually watch if people watch the updates of the live, they understand what I'm saying in my update, in my actual headline. My headline leads us into a direction of discussion, and it actually means a lot to me to be able to do that. Now, what is going to happen here? I would like to see on this Saturday, because we can see at least a few different spots where maybe we can come out of this. Maybe, just maybe we can come out of this.
Namaste.
Whoops. And it's going to take a lot of work, don't get me wrong. It's going to take a lot of work. But we've got to somehow reverse this death cross here in the smaller time frames. Like in the 2 hourly, it's basically already corrected all the way through now. I would love to see a volume spike here on a thinly traded. If we got a volume spike here, it's where it could get interesting. If it crashes, I might be able to buy $100 more. I don't know yet. I'm considering selling half of my XRP to buy it. There's a lot of people considering selling their XRP for other things. But just remember this, friends. If you're selling XRP to buy something else in the same cycle, it's tricky. It's tricky. Because if you're selling out of XRP now because you think the run's over, why is something else going to go up at the same time? Like, that's where my biggest lesson I ever learned in trading. If I'm in the same market cycle, why would I sell out something to buy something else in the same cycle? Ratio. Oh, yeah. Now, there are certain scenarios, like if you're looking at, okay, you want to buy, you went from XLM to H bar. Well, if we start looking at that whole ratio, XLM came up from about 8 cents. It's sitting at 35. So 8, 16, so 16, 24, 30. So you've got about a 350% move on XLM. H bar has gone up from about that 4 centile. So you've actually done about a 7x right now on H bar. And like the institutions, the reason why you keep seeing the whales increase their XRP holdings, they're not looking to sell them, but they've got so much money they don't have to worry about it. Like, I'm just being honest with everybody. Like, they're not looking to sell it. They're looking to continue to expand when we sell ours. And like, I'm having a big dilemma right now because like DGB, I could very easily just buy it all back right here. I sold some of it up here so that I could buy it back down here. And then I did the math. Obviously, it would have to be right. And that was a 30% drop. So you're talking 300,000 to 400,000 more DGB with the same money if this plays down. And yeah, right now it's starting to play down, but I'm having that dilemma with myself saying, hey, great job. It's down 13% right now. Do I believe in my heart of hearts it's going to come down there? I do. Nothing wrong with that, Amused. Now you're starting to play the ratios in your favor. That's actually, I love reading stuff like that. That is great news, Papa Wheelie. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. You have a 3X on XRP. Out of curiosity, where did you open that 3X at? Is that a 3X long? I'm assuming. Because right now, we've got a little bit of momentum here. Just it doesn't seem like it, but we got a small amount of momentum here. Oh, 3 years ago. Gotcha. That's about 3% of room right here. We got about 3% to that resistance area in the zone. Oh, that YouTuber, I would unfollow them immediately. XRP to $27 in 3 days. Well, I don't make many guarantees, but I guarantee you they won't even be within 75%. You give them a 75% margin of error and they would still miss it. Stop following them. Seems pretty simple to me. I can always discredit somebody I shouldn't watch. Unless they're heeding the same warnings I'm giving you, I wouldn't trust them. Telling you it's in a pennant flag, so it's still very bullish, but giving you the optics of what can happen on a breakdown in a pennant. Like I said, right now, no reason to sell anything. We're still in a very nice setup. And for anybody who understands the charts, I think you understand. Like, this is not exactly the time to be doing all of this stuff. It's not. Like, if it was, I wouldn't be holding on to my XRP right now. It's that simple. But I just don't think it's the time to do any of that stuff. I can make an argument why, hey, you know, you could maybe get ahead of the market and you could possibly sell out as well. But I could do the same thing, but I don't feel comfortable with XRP doing that. Some other tokens that I had heavy weighted in that I wanted to get rid of, okay, that's one thing. But XRP I have a big plan for, and we haven't hit it yet. A lot of these other ones I have big plans for. We haven't hit it yet. Does that mean that I am not worried about a drop here? It's not that I'm not worried. It's just that I've made plans for the drop if it happens. So it doesn't bother me. Like some people, it might be the end of the world for you. It's not the end of the world for me. In fact, it only helps my cause even more if it does drop. Because then I can keep adding more and more. And I don't even care what XRP does. If DGB drops at all, which I don't even know if it will, because I could make the argument still, like we tried to make yesterday, that if you just look at DGB slightly different and you look at it like this, that we are actually beautifully backtesting. Am I wrong? So, man, there is that argument to be made, right? That this is the back test of a support structure and not a resistance tap. So, but what do we think? Before I leave everybody, do you think this ends with a big push up or a big breakdown in crypto? That's what I want to know. Do you think that crypto has a big breakdown or a big push up? While you still have my attention on this Saturday morning. Breakdown before January. Because if it's not breaking down, you'd have to look at this as an inverse setup here. Not sure I want to say push up. I'd say break down, then up. Break down before regulate. Yeah. That's the other nuance. All right, retrace again, then big push up, especially after Trump's speech. We passed the breakdown period. Why wouldn't XRP drop if DGB dropped? Oh, it's all universal. It's all universal. Sure. If one of them falls, that's the whole point. If one falls, they're all gonna fall. Brandon Chowder, thank you so much for re-upping in Tom's Army for your second official month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. You are welcome. He says, thank you for the dedication, Tom. You're absolutely welcome. So breaking down tomorrow evening buy. Bitcoin measured to drop to 70K. Yep. That's exactly my area that I've been talking about. 72,000. Right around 72,000. So, like I always say, I can't tell you what to do. I can only give you the market warnings as I see them in front of me. And it's not because I want to be like, oh, the market's kind of, in a tricky spot. I don't want to, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's day, year, but I also want you to stay out ahead of what's happening. So it is less likely to see a big move up on the weekend. However, they often use the thinly traded weekends to screw everybody over. If you want the truth from me. So thinly traded weekends often make great time to sell off the market. If you want the truth. So that's generally what happens. So not ruining mine. I'm happy because I need to get my XTC back on high. Absolutely. I feel like there's going to be a shakeout. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And then I've shown you the scenarios today, so I feel good about how it can go up. Tom, I want to invite you on my radio show at night to discuss crypto. Absolutely. You know my email. I would absolutely be honored to do that for you. I would absolutely love that. So, that's where I stand right now. That's where I stand. I know it's in the middle. I know we're chopping. Nothing I've seen here today makes me feel any different than I did before. Thanks, bro. Great TA. Happy New Year to all of you. Awesome. But yeah, anti-communist, when you share it with me in my email, I'll share it with the audience too. Your radio show. But right now, I mean, there's nothing we can do except watch, wait, and see this next direction. And don't get that. If you're looking to buy in and you haven't bought in yet, you want to find it on local support. $1.98 would be our closest local support. But then on a breakdown, if this pennant flag breaks down, we know what could happen. So you really want to be buying on bullish divergences, not negative divergences or bearish divergences. You want to buy when money is flowing in, not flowing out of the ETFs. These are things we want to remember. So if you're not in right now, there's no problem sitting in and waiting. But if you're trying to make your first position, you just got to have the stomach here. That's all. You have to have the stomach. And XDC, I'm personally looking for a rejection on a death cross here in the higher time frames. As we're working our way, we're trying to get the rejection here to validate it. Then if we were to lose this 7 cents, I'm looking for a tug down to about 6.2 cents on XDC. After I was honest with myself and drew this out into a descending wedge from the start, I said it's probably not a channel. It's probably more of a wedge. If you look at it this way. Because for a moment I was looking at it like this too, and I was kind of thinking maybe a channel. But the more I look at it, I could obviously see a wedge possibly forming too. So we would have to take care of that wedge before we could say it's a channel. But I'm not naive to say it's not there. But all ends meet to the same spot. If it were to break this, come to the channel, then you could say down to 4.9 on the uptrend. So why is it showing us all of these possible taps again? But why is it also showing inverse head and shoulders at the same time? We've got so much differing viewpoints here that it makes it difficult. I'm just saying. Mick. What did Mick say? Oh, thank you, Mick, for telling everybody to hit the like button. I appreciate that. We have 126 likes out of 262 viewers. Ouch. I don't talk about it anymore, but that's why I used to talk about it, because a lot of people won't hit the like button. Thanks, Tom. God bless. Institutional traders now. Gonna be interesting. Gonna be very interesting here. Moving awfully slow on a thinly traded weekend right now. We'll see. We'll see if we can get any kind of positive burst here. Going to start with Bitcoin. If we can get a big surge in Bitcoin, maybe it could reverse the trajectory. It's just we've got a little bit of space left below. We can only come down to 92,600 roughly. And once it busts that, then it's going to be on the downside of this ascending broadening wedge. That's my bottom line. If this ascending broadening wedge is at the... you guys have to make a very difficult decision if you're not in the market. And if you're in the market, obviously, pay the most attention you possibly can. Tom is brutally honest, and if you don't want the truth, don't. Exactly. William, I appreciate seeing you in here in the comments as well, IQ. So, but I'm going to go see if Julie needs any help. I appreciate spending this hour with everybody. I'll do a short, and possibly you'll see me again later if anything drastically changes. If we have some kind of big rally out of here, if it starts dumping, you obviously hear more. But right now, we're kind of in a holding pattern, and we need to not get our emotions too high up, but also look for opportunity out there. It's a thinly traded weekend. Look for opportunity. Don't be afraid of the market, and I'll see everybody